recording the meeting, and the meeting is being recorded. So as I said, my name is Zuzana. I work for European Schoolnet, and I will be co-moderating today's event. And today's webinar is on the exploring new forms of teaching, learning, and assessing in an interactive world. It is part of the course Yes I Can, Empowering Student Learning, and it is also part of the NESTT project that we have at the European Schoolnet. And today's presenter will be Jose Alberto.
Hello everyone.
Lencastre from Portugal. Hi, Jose. And just to introduce Jose, Jose is a lecturer and researcher of Educational Technology Institute of Educational Technology in the Institute of Education at the University. Is it Minho? Minho, in Portugal, in the north. Jose holds a PhD in online education, and his main interests in education are the understanding of opportunities to enhance teaching and learning processes through technology. And he has been developing teaching and supervision activities in master and doctoral programs in educational technology and exploring initiative pedagogical practices using technology as well. And Jose is the co-author or author of more than 150 peer-reviewed papers, which I find amazing. Well done. Okay, I'll just load now the slides, which usually takes up to half a minute. So if you please can be a bit patient with us. There we go. And now we can start. Jose, if you wish to turn on your web camera, it's still not on. And in the meantime, I just say that any sort of discussion is very much encouraged. And while Jose will be speaking, you can post your questions into the chat, and I will be collecting them. And we will, Jose will be asked these questions by me at the end of the session. So please, anytime you have a question, just type it in. I will be following the chat, and I will be collecting them, and then we'll have a question and answer session at the end.
First of all,
Perfect.
I want
Jose,
to
the
thank
floor is yours. Thank you very much.
And the European Schoolnet Academy for this invitation, and give my congrats to the project and the MOOC. Yes, I can. And yes, I will talking about exploring new forms of teaching, learning, and assessment. My main research is about this, exploring new forms of teaching and learning. And when I was invited, the first thing I want to know is to search some info about this NESTT project. And I saw there were two goals in this project. One of the goals is how do children learn in formal and informal contexts, and the other is the teacher's role in students' learning and using technology. And this interests me the most, the way teachers, the new role of the teachers nowadays, and my main activity is to work with teachers. So I designed a question for this webinar, a question that is something I hear a lot in my training courses when I try to force the teachers to reflect on their pedagogical practice. And this will be a topic for discussion. And this is a question I want to come back on later, but this is my statement here now. Every teacher has the right to teach classes in his or her own way. And every time I hear this, I say, really? And this is a topic for discussion. This is the question I want to come in the end of this webinar. But to frame this question, I will introduce to you Mr. Mike Sharples. Mike Sharples is a professor of educational technology at the Open University in the UK, and his research involves human-centered design of new technologies and environments for learning. I knew Mike Sharples maybe in the 212, 211, and during a project between the Open University and the University of Minho, and I worked with him during three years in that project, and the main thing that I learned with him is this human-centered design approach, and from then I started to read these innovating pedagogy reports that Mike Sharples is the lead author, and these are reports that present a lot of innovating pedagogies that we could use with case studies that we can use with our students in our schools. By the way, Mike and Rebecca Ferguson, that is now the person that is responsible for this 2019 report, they invited me to be the responsible for the Portuguese edition of this report. So soon you will have news. This is good news from Portugal, that we have a Portuguese version of this report. And what are the main things that we learn with these reports? These reports talk about case studies about new different ways of teach and learn. Since flipped learning, gamification, game-based learning, storytelling, whatever. You see a lot of different ways of teach and learn. And this is the new ways that I explore in my training courses. So according to Mike Sharples, and this is something that is common in all these different approaches, is that you don't teach what the student can learn for himself. It's not the same of saying that the student is learning alone, but learning for himself. This is the first statement of Mike Sharples. And the second one is students learn best when they are in control of their learning. So these are all these different approaches, different pedagogical approaches are student-centered. And this human-centered design approach says that it's not fair for the student to sit in the classroom listening to the teachers all day long. And it is crucial that students are encouraged to challenge their learning and not be afraid of making mistakes. That's something that we are sometimes not aware. And students need to engage with the content, work together, reflect, taking their own conclusions about what they are learning. This is the core of the human-centered design approach that I prefer to use in my training, and I try to work in my training. Although in this with Mike Sharples, you hear a lot talking about pedagogy and technology, I prefer to add a third dimension to this level, and using also the learning space. So I work in my training courses all these three dimensions: pedagogy, technology, and the learning space. They are like a bench with three legs. If one of the legs is missing, or one of the legs is smaller, the seat cannot be used, or at least the seat is uncomfortable. So these are three dimensions that I work with using the pedagogical approaches that I'm learning with Mike Sharples, but adding this third dimension. So regarding pedagogy, to consider different pedagogies, flipped learning, project-based learning, robotics, collaborative learning, game-based learning, gaming, regarding technology, to encourage the use of digital resources, highlighting their potential to improve students' learning. From the Department of Education and Technology, so I believe that technology is a lot of potential to improve students' learning. And then the learning space, to reshape the learning spaces. And reshaping the learning spaces have to do with this. What is the new teacher's role in this new environment with new pedagogies, technology, and the learning space? And what are the students' options in these different activities in these different environments? So this is an image that I download from the internet, and this is the opposite of what I'm talking about. You see this, a lot of technology, a computer for one student, one computer, even two teachers in the classroom. But this is the opposite of what I'm talking about now, and I will explain you why. Okay, so in my training courses, I encourage the use of digital technologies, highlighting that potential, but in a new adapt approach for the learning spaces. I will share with you some of the images of one project that I have in a school near Porto, and a school in a primary school, using these three dimensions of the new pedagogies, the learning space, and the technology. You see here, for instance, students working side by side. The tables are side by side, but the students are using their tablets to get more info. They are working individually. Sometimes the task is better for them to work individually. Sometimes they work in pairs. And here you have a student working alone on the class using the tablet and the book. You have two boys that are working in pairs. You see some of the students working in groups, and you don't see the teacher. You see also that there are three little girls sitting on the floor. So the dynamics of the classroom is there, and you don't see the teachers lecturing. This one is the students sitting on the floor. It's you can sit on the floor because the task allows the students to do that, and the students like to sit on in puffs, but they are working together. You see that these two girls are helping each other, and the two boys also are helping each other. They are performing their tasks, but and their activities, but working relaxed in sitting in the poof. So the learning space is different, but they are working. Now a new image of them relaxing using the book and the tablet, sometimes to validate or supplement the info that they found in the handbook. Another one with a student sometimes using the tablet for augmented reality, getting extra info from the info that is in the handbook, working alone sometimes. Here, an example of flipped learning, and the students are the first contact with the content is by themselves. The teachers give the resources to perform the task, and the students are in control of their learning, and it promotes high levels of reflection, because the first contact with the content is with the students, and only then they start working with each other and with the teacher. Here is an image of peer-to-peer learning. Allow the students to prepare presentations to colleagues, and the students are teaching the other students using the interactivity of the interactive whiteboard to work with their colleagues, present their research to their colleagues. So this is, in all this image, is the same classroom in different moments, using different pedagogies, different appropriations of the learning space, and sometimes different technologies. This is in an image about gamification. So the process of assessment is not only doing tests, but doing different activities using some gamification with points, badges, leaderboards, where the students have their ranks for comparing their performance, progression, milestones, status, levels, different levels, increasing difficulty tasks, rewards. So every aspects of that can have some info to the assessment are in this gamified process. And in this student-centered approach, what is the teacher's new role? The teacher is a mentor that helps the students to explore the topics in a more deeply way. The teacher is the one that designs the tasks for the students. The teacher is the one that creates the opportunities for individual and collaborative learning. The teacher helps the students on searching the information rather than just teach. Encourage the students to explore content and not to be afraid of making mistakes and not be afraid of asking questions. The teacher is responsible for rearrange the learning spaces according to different tasks, different pedagogical approaches to foster both individual work, group work, and the teachers is the one that decides which resources the student should explore by their own. And the teacher is also responsible for maximizing the classroom time, adopting active learning strategies. The teacher is the one that observes his students, providing relevant feedback and evaluates their work. The teachers, for instance, and I will show you, have the the very important role of helping the students that need the teacher at every different moment. The teacher gives dedicated support to students who need it. So because the teacher is not lecturing for the whole class, she or he has the time to dedicate to the students that need support at each moment. Now here, for instance, using the interactive whiteboard and explaining the students how to use it and how to search for relevant info. And in this image, helping only one student not using technology, but adding some info and helping in the specific moment the students that need some of their help. And this image is an image from the internet. Is that I ask my all teachers to use it. You use the book, the handbook, but also use some technology with internet connection, then that technology that we can add to our classes to improve learning. So I'm coming back to the first question that I designed as a topic of discussion. Every teacher has the right to teach classes in his or her own way. Really, I don't know, it's something that we need to discuss. It's something that I discuss a lot during my training sessions, and this will be a topic for discussion. Only for ending this presentation, I quote John Dewey, and John Dewey, as you know, says that it is vital that education should not be only transmission of knowledge, it's something finished, but it's something that the knowledge and the skills that the student acquired could be integrated in his own life. So education is not transmitting of knowledge. For Dewey, thinking does not exist isolated from the action, from the core of the education, but serve as solving problems, and its fundamental role of the teacher is improving that social relations and the working in an active way. I have another PowerPoint, maybe in the end, and in the end of this presentation, I will show you. It's something that I want to present before we leave this webinar. So this is my presentation, and maybe I'll call here Susanna to mediate the rest of the webinar.
Sorry, I think I misunderstood. Are you going to use another PowerPoint?
No, but the last slide, I prefer to show it in the end of the webinar.
Okay, perfect. So we can go to the questions. I've been collecting the questions that were expressed. Yeah. Okay. So one question that seemed to be repeated. Many people are wondering who purchases. Oh, sorry, this was my bad. Who actually purchases the equipment that is necessary?
Okay. And when we start in this specific project, the students use their own equipment. So it was something that we challenged the parents of these students, and they acquired the equipment. But because the project was a huge success, now the city hall decided to purchase tablets for all different schools that belong to that city hall.
Okay. And what do you do in case some child or parents could not afford such equipment? Was there a case or?
Yeah, of course, sometimes it happened, but that's what some of the schools have their own equipment that could share with the students, and sometimes we ask the students to share it between them. This was a project that had started 5 years ago, and one of our we involved the school board, of course, the director, and also the parents. So we explained the project to the parents, and we start in one school with the support of the parents. And after 2 years, the city hall decided to um, to to disseminate the project for all the different schools in that city. So now we have the project in 15 schools, and with the support of the city hall that purchased all the equipment that was necessary.
Mhm. And from your experience, once this project started, what was the reaction of the children and their parents, or what did they think about working this way with tablets?
I could um, I remember a lot of obstacles in the beginning, but now I can say to you uh, that this has allowed me to design a new approach for working with teachers in my training courses, and they could not get back. And yeah, it's true. After remember that primary school is 4 years.
Mhm.
We start in the second year, and so they work with us during 3 years with us, but we work with the teachers, not with the students directly. And after that 3 years, they go to the fifth grade, and they want to work in the fifth grade with all different teachers, because in the primary school you only have one teacher in the class during all year.
Mhm.
But in the fifth grade, you have maybe 8, 10 different teachers, and they want to work in this way with all these different teachers. So the city hall invited us to give training to all these different teachers in order to support this project. So this was a project for 3 years, and now we have the project for several more years with all these different schools. So we
Nice.
are in a process. We are in a process that is not going back.
Nice, well done. And what about the students' results? Did they improve at the end of the project? Did students achieve better results, or was that not necessarily the outcome?
Of course, definitely. Otherwise, the city hall and the parents didn't support us and in the end, they are much more prepared for school, for learning, for working together, and the grades are much better. Yeah, we will present the results in the June of this year. We will present the results of the 3 years the project, and the better results were with these classes that we work during this project. Yes, it's true.
Mhm. And did it happen that, for example, while you were working with this equipment, that the students also accessed unwanted websites such as social media or played games and didn't pay attention? And if so, how to deal with this?
As I was told to you and to our colleagues a few minutes ago, we work with the teachers, not with the students directly.
Okay.
So the teacher is the one that works with their students. But we use websites that we control. But the thing that for me it's the most important thing that I keep saying in my training courses is that if the students have a specific task and they are focused on the task, and this MOOC is about the interest of the student, the personalized learning, the focus on the students. So if you design tasks for your students that are according to their interests, they are focused on the performing the task individually, in pairs, in groups, in teams, and I don't believe that we have too much problems for them accessing to unwanted websites and things like that. And this is one of the things that I like the most in this human-centered design, student-centered approach, is that you design your tasks for your students, for a specific student, for a specific class. Not, you don't design, you don't plan in the beginning of the year for the whole year for a student that you don't know. You need to know your students, and you design the tasks to your students, so you know their interests, you know what you want them to learn, and it is this balance that is important.
Okay. And if the teachers would like to apply this method for their classes, how can they select the equipment? How do they know what is the best equipment for the students?
This is you are talking about the device or the software?
Devices.
Mostly we use iPads. iPads are not iPads from Apple, the regular tablets from different brands. But the apps that we use are work during our training courses with the teacher, and we help the teachers and the different teachers to design the tasks, and we support them on how to use this app or a different app. What is best is to use some questionnaires or a survey or a game, or the different approaches and the different technologies are designed according to that specific task that the teacher wants to design to their classroom.
Thank you. I see in the chat there are more and more concerns being raised regarding either the teachers do not have the necessary equipment technology, there is also slow Wi-Fi, or they also might have, I think I saw around 100 students in the classroom. If they wish to be innovative, how can they handle situations like these?
Okay. Do you know that during this process, we found 11 critical situations that could happen during this whole approach, with using different pedagogies in different situations, using different technologies, and using reshaping the class. And one of them is the most critical, is to get the equipment. Although in Portugal it was solved in the first place with the support of the parents, and then with the support of the city hall, as I told you. But we have also this design of this approach in European projects, We have at this time 3 Erasmus projects, and we are using this approach in different countries. And the way they solve this problem of having the equipment is almost the same. They ask the parents to help, and the school bought equipment, and on the project also the project bought the equipment to the ones that don't have their equipment. And we have now a national project in Portugal with the FCT, and we are using the same approach. So the first option, the first critical point is having the equipment. It was easy to overcome. Then the usual problem is the Wi-Fi connection. So we have to make an effort and ask to the authorities of the director. It was one of the reasons that we called the director to be part of these projects, that we need the wireless connection to use on the classes. Sometimes the students use their own Wi-Fi. That is not the best option, of course. And we involve the teachers, the colleagues. We involve the parents, as I told you. So that's some of these different obstacles, critical aspects that we found during the process, and we tried to overcome them the way we could. And now we have a design that, if the design is user-centered, is also regarding the specific issues that in that school. We have this approach in 15 schools in the north of Portugal. So that there are 15 schools with different realities, and we try to design our approach in a different way. For instance, you saw in these images that the furniture is like the furniture of every school. Is no different from the furniture that from 20 years ago. But we have schools with the new furniture, with the tables and the chairs, with the wheels and with the support to put the tablet. So it's better to have new furniture. It's better for the students. It's better to reshape the classroom. But we use the new furniture in the new schools. In some schools, on the most of the schools, we use old furniture. In some schools, we use one tablet for each student. In some other schools, we use one tablet for two students. So we need to reshape our intervention according to the reality of its school and its classroom.
And you mentioned that you have you try this in 15 schools, or the system works in 15 schools in Portugal. And can you tell us the main problems that you encounter during the implementation of such a system in schools?
Internet.
Okay. Was it the connection, the speed, or?
Yes, the connection, the speed. Having 20 students in the classroom using the same Wi-Fi, it's a problem. Sometimes using two teachers in two classes side by side using the same internet, so 40 or 50 students using the Wi-Fi connection, it is a problem. It's if you ask me what do you prefer, what is your main obstacle nowadays, in using my experience, I will say to you that is the Wi-Fi connection.
Okay. And how did you tackle that?
Yes, it's what I'm going to. We need to to design some tasks not using Wi-Fi at the same time. If you have students in different levels, you can put some of them making some research using the internet, and some others performing sorry, performing different tasks. You need to redesign the way your class is working according to these realities in specific moments. So there are some tasks that you design to use the internet, but at the same time you need to redesign some of them for not to using the internet at the same time. Every student is at the same time.
Okay. From your experience preparing for such a class, does it take a teacher longer or shorter time?
It depends, and every teacher is a person. That one of the things that we understood during this process, it is there are three different kinds of not teachers, but the way that the teacher wants to be involved. Some of the teachers are they want to change. They want to focus on their students. They know that they need to change, and they try to perform even with no conditions to perform. And they want to try everything, sometimes everything at the same time. And our main job is keeping some explaining them that you cannot make everything at the same time. You need to design the tasks for your students step by step. There are some of teachers, a group of small teachers that the ones that made me design this question. They want to they come to our training courses, but they want to perform, and they want to teach the same way that they teach for the last 20 years. And everything, it's a problem. The connection, it's a problem. The tablets, it's a problem. The process is difficult. You have too many students in the classroom. There's too much heat in the class. That's too everything, it's a problem. And sometimes we need to work with them, explaining that, okay, you can start with small things, and then adding new different things, new approaches from the start. And that is a huge part, maybe 80% of the teachers, that they are able to reshape and redesign, and to get some of the training, and if some of these conditions are overcome. For instance, sometimes you need to not only performing the training course, but going to the schools, see the reality of the schools, talk with them. They need someone to talk with, and some of these teachers, I believe that maybe in this the past 4 years, 5 years, we train more than 600 teachers in our training courses, and a lot of them are changing the way they teach. I believe that they know now that this is a good way of changing and thinking on students and these new approaches. Some of the teachers, after a while, they start implementing. You know that these training courses are not they have a part that is face-to-face. There is a part of the course that is online for sharing, and it's a part that is implementing. So the teacher need to implement with that student and give feedback to us in our training session. So it's a mixed between the training session, the implementation on the classroom with the students, and sharing with the colleagues during the training courses. So some of the teachers need 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 months to implement. Some need more time, and the others less time.
There was one comment, and I think it kept on appearing, and it's an example from Portugal actually, that the teachers very often have too much amount of paperwork, and as I understand, they might find it a bit hard if they need certain time, especially like if changes happen, and if change happens to something that you continue doing already. I mean teaching methods now. Now you have to you wish to implement technology, and you have this amount of paperwork at the same time. I'm not sure if there is a question more than a comment, but sometimes this might be a bit difficult as well.
Some sharing some of the issues, and I realized during the European projects that is not something that is only related to Portugal, and that's something that changes a lot in the European countries, that they put a lot of work that used to be done from some administrative person in the schools, and now it's work for the teachers. But using technology could also help the teachers and gain some time to work with. I believe that some of the work that the teachers need to do could be helped with with technology. I don't have a really answer for that. Sorry.
And have you tried this system also with a bit older students, secondary school students, 15 to 18-year-old?
Yeah, this project started. These images are from a project that was in a primary school, but remember 600 teachers that worked with us in the past 5 years in our training courses. There are teachers from primary school, elementary school, secondary schools. We have at this moment 3 European projects using this methodology, the human-centered design, with technology, learning space, and new pedagogies. And one of the projects is with the secondary schools from 7 countries. We are working with teachers from 7 countries, teachers from secondary school. The other is with a primary school, and the other is with the adult learners. So we are using this same approach with the 3 dimensions and with different target groups.
Okay, can you please give us the names of the projects you are mentioning?
Okay, one of the projects is the Blick project. I will give you the names. I don't want to say anything wrong.
Okay.
I'm going to my. Okay, the European projects. One of the projects is Games to Learn and Gamification to Engage. It's a Erasmus project with primary school teachers from Portugal, Poland, and Italy. The other project is Bringing Life into the Classroom, Innovative Use of Mobile Devices in the Educational Process. This is a project with secondary school teachers from Turkey, Portugal, Italy, Romania, Poland, and Greece. And I believe I said everything. The other project is Gaming in Action, engaging adult learners with games and gamification. The same approach, but with adult learners. And it's a project with Turkey, Romania, Portugal, and Greece. And we have also a national project funded by the Portuguese FCT, is the Foundation for Science and Technology, and this is a project funded to use this same approach only with teachers with more than 50 years old. So the project is Digital Migrations and Curricular Innovation, giving new meaning to experience and rekindle teaching profession after 50. The short name is Rekindle plus 50.
Thank you.
These are the 4 projects we are using this same approach.
There was also a very interesting question, and I will reformulate it a bit. And basically, if we are not worried that by using so much technology, also introducing the technology into the classrooms, we are making nowadays children or adolescents a bit more dependent on it.
I can give you an answer like as a father. I prefer for my daughter to use the technology in school for learning, and with the help of their teachers to improve learning. And I cut the use of technology at home. For instance, she only could use the smartphone only until dinner, and after dinner it's not possible to use technology at home. So I prefer I prefer them to use at school, because it's good for improving learning, using in a right way, of course. And I believe that the way we design our approach is the right way. And I cut the technology at home.
Okay, thank you. And do you think that in a short period of time, paper would be out of the classes and will be substituted by devices?
No, we could use both. And I show you some images, the children using the handbook, and also the technology to improve and to complement and supplement the info that they gathered from the book. So the teacher could use both. And one of the reasons is because we have sometimes problems with the internet connection. So the book is okay, and we could improve learning using technology, but the books are also very important. And mostly with students from the primary school, it's very important to use books and to read on a book on paper. That's my opinion.
And could you also please give us examples of the applications that you used during this project?
Oh, we used a lot of different applications. Some of the applications are very well known. Sometimes we use applications that are well known by the teacher in order to reduce the level of investment in the technology, because it's not our main focus, is not the use of the application. But there are so many applications, and they are different from one teacher to another, from Kahoot to Socrative, from using platforms Edmodo to Padlet, for different purpose we use different technologies, and sometimes the technology that we use is technology that's as proposed by the teacher. The teachers say, okay, I know how to use, how can I use this technology to teach. Some of these technologies are free. Most of them are free, and you can for different tasks, for different purpose, for these different designs, we use different technologies. But some of them are. Do you know that we have an image with I believe 80 different technology apps that you can use for teach and learning. So.
Okay. Now we have 5 minutes left. I know that you have slides left, but I also have 3 questions left, so I guess you can choose which one you prefer.
I want to show you the last slide. Is a slide from a musician, and it's a quote from the musician named Frank Zappa. It's a musician from the 60s, 70s, and he said that a mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it is not open. So it's something that I want to share, to reflect. We do the things the same way every day in our classroom because we feel comfortable doing that, and we are not thinking in our students. This could be would be a problem, and you need to challenge your students to open their minds. So that's the reason I designed that question as a topic of discussion. Every teacher has the right to teach classes in his or her own way. It's a question that I try to provoke the teachers I work with, and nothing better than this quote from Frank Zappa to challenge the people that is seeing this webinar.
Perfect. Okay. Do we have time for one more question? I feel guilty for the 3 people whose questions I didn't pose. Or would you like to finish the session?
No. I'm available. Yeah.
Okay. So in this method, how is the balance between compulsory and optional tasks? Because we know that children or people generally might not be that keen on compulsory tasks. I remember when I was studying, I wasn't, but if something was optional, I was more keen on doing it. So how is this balance in this system?
Yeah. Because you are using a user-centered design or a student-centered design, a human-centered design, as Mark Chappell used to say, students could perform different tasks, could perform in a different ways the same task. So what we try to do with our teachers, and we challenge them to work with their students, is to design the tasks with them. Sometimes this is very different for teachers to understand and to accept. But all these different pedagogical approaches that you see in the reports from the Open University, all of them are approaches that puts the student working with the teacher. And so a lot of the tasks that are designed with them. If you are doing a project-based learning approach, you need to design the project with your students, so they will be engaged because they are part of the designing process. They are part of the solution. They are part of the team, and this is the main approach. You don't need to impose anything because you design the tasks with them. Some of the teachers that are hearing us today, And because I have that experience from my own training courses, sometimes they said, "Oh, it's not possible. I work with students with 8 years old. It's not possible to design the tasks with them." Yes, it is possible. You don't need to change everything from one day to another, but it is possible, and you need to involve your students in the the designing process.
Perfect. I think that's a nice conclusion. I went through the resting two questions. Partially they were already replied to or answered, so I hope no one is angry at me. But we have to finish, so we also don't steal anyone's time. Thank you very much, Jose. Very interesting, and thank you everyone. We had approximately 70 attendees tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you for very interesting discussion as well. And I hope you will follow us with more webinars. And I hope, Jose, that we will organize another one.
Okay,
Together.
thank you, Susanna, for your cooperation, and
Thank you as
thank
well.
you to everyone that was in this webinar. See us and follow us on the internet and our projects, and European and national projects.
Perfect. Thank you, and bye to Portugal. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.